Ever wondered, what is God?
Hmm.
It's a question that's like echoed through humanity for ages, right?
Right.
Well, you're in for a treat today as we deep dive into the work of Shankar Santhamoorthy.
Okay.
He's a researcher who spent over 3 decades wrestling with this very question.
Wow.
And get this, he approaches it not just through, scriptures and philosophy,
Yeah.
but also through the lens of science.
Really interesting. What's fascinating is that Shankar doesn't shy away from sharing his own kind of ups and downs with faith.
Oh, interesting.
Imagine this. He starts as a theist, deeply rooted in Hindu deities.
Okay.
Then he takes this sharp turn into atheism, driven by his exploration of science,
Interesting.
much like Albert Einstein did in his youth.
It's like he's saying, hey, it's okay to question, to shift perspectives as you learn and grow.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker. He doesn't just stay an atheist either.
Right.
He eventually finds his way back to spirituality.
Okay.
But with this incredible understanding that science and religion aren't necessarily at odds.
He even uses nanotechnology to illustrate this point.
Oh, wow.
Think about it. When we manipulate matter at the atomic level, we uncover entirely new properties, right?
Right.
Shankar suggests that delving deeper into our own consciousness through spiritual practices
Okay.
could similarly unlock hidden dimensions of spiritual understanding.
Wow, that's a really cool way to look at it. It's like both science and spirituality are tools for exploring different facets of reality.
Exactly.
Pushing the boundaries of what we know.
And he takes this idea even further with Ray Kurzweil's concept of the technological singularity.
Okay.
That moment when artificial intelligence might surpass human intelligence.
Mhm.
Shankar uses it to hint at the potential for exponential growth in human consciousness,
Okay.
suggesting we might be on the brink of a spiritual evolution alongside technological advancements.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. So, as we advance technologically, we might also be evolving spiritually. That's a pretty wild thought. But let's back up for a second.
Okay.
If Shankar's suggesting we're like frogs in a well, limited by our current understanding, how does he even begin to tackle a question as immense as what is God?
He doesn't limit himself to just one, well, so to speak. Shankar dives headfirst into various world religions.
Okay.
We're talking Buddhist, Jain, Sikh, even Abrahamic traditions.
Wow.
He becomes this global explorer of faith.
Oh.
Not to impose one over the other, but to pinpoint those universal threads that connect them all.
I love that. Instead of getting bogged down in dogma, he's looking for the common ground,
Yeah.
the shared human experience of the divine across cultures.
And the depth of his research is astounding.
Okay.
We're talking 10 volumes here.
Yep.
He tackles everything from ancient Vedic texts to Western philosophers,
Wow.
from the mysteries of consciousness to the complexities of karma, fate, free will, you name it.
10 volumes. This isn't just a deep dive. It's like a deep sea expedition.
It is.
So where do we even begin to unpack all of this?
Well, hold on to your hats because we're about to take you on a whirlwind tour of Shankar's most groundbreaking ideas.
Okay.
We'll unravel his unique take on different philosophical arguments about God,
Okay.
explore his insights on how our consciousness connects to the divine, and even delve into the intricacies of concepts like karma, fate, and free will.
This is going to be quite the journey. But, even though we're dealing with some seriously complex stuff here,
Yeah.
there's something about Shankar's approach that feels surprisingly relatable.
Absolutely. And that's what makes his work so refreshing. He doesn't shy away from personal anecdotes.
Oh, yeah.
He reflects on his own spiritual stumbles and triumphs.
Ultras.
Almost as if he's saying, hey, I'm figuring this out as I go, and you can too.
Oh, wow.
He even goes as far as inviting feedback from readers,
Really?
turning his research into a conversation rather than a lecture. That's so cool. It's like he's saying, don't just take my word for it, let's explore this together. And that's what we're here for today.
And that's what makes this deep dive so unique. It's not just about Shankar's personal journey,
Right.
It's about creating a space for dialogue, for shared exploration of one of life's biggest questions.
Yeah. It's like he's inviting us on a grand philosophical adventure.
Exactly.
So speaking of exploration, let's talk about how Shankar tackles the concept of samadhi,
Okay.
this state of spiritual liberation. It sounds pretty intense. How does he bring it down to earth?
Well, you might be wondering, like, how does one actually achieve this state of samadhi?
Yeah.
Shankar explores various methods.
Okay.
And it's not just about sitting in meditation.
Oh, really?
He talks about karma yoga, the path of selfless action,
Okay.
and bhakti yoga, the path of devotion, as equally valid ways to experience this spiritual liberation.
So it's not about forcing yourself into a specific mold, but finding a path that resonates with your own nature.
Precisely.
He emphasizes that true spiritual growth involves shifting from ego-driven desires to a more expansive, interconnected way of being, and that this shift can happen through various practices that resonate with different personalities and inclinations.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like finding the right key for your own unique lock.
Yeah.
But let's talk about those philosophical arguments about God you mentioned. 10 volumes worth. Where do we even start?
Well, Shankar, he doesn't shy away from diving into the deep end of philosophical thought.
Okay.
He explores a vast spectrum of arguments, from ancient Vedic schools of thought to more modern Western philosophies.
Wow.
He examines how each tradition defines the very essence of the divine, the relationship between God and humanity, and the ultimate purpose of our existence.
So he's not just presenting a laundry list of different beliefs.
Yeah.
He's creating this intricate tapestry, weaving together insights from these diverse traditions.
Exactly. And what's remarkable is that he doesn't shy away from pointing out the potential pitfalls within different religions, too.
Oh, interesting.
For instance, he critiques things like religious intolerance, rigid dogma, and the misuse of rituals or traditions.
That's a bold move. It's like he's saying, hey, even within these systems of belief, we need to be critical, to question, and to ensure that our practices align with our values.
Precisely. He's all about encouraging critical thinking no matter what path we choose.
Right.
Don't just blindly accept. Question your assumptions. Consider different viewpoints. This continuous questioning, he argues, is vital for genuine spiritual growth.
I really appreciate that about his approach. It's refreshing to see someone engage with these questions with such honesty and depth. Okay, we've covered a lot about Shankar's philosophical explorations and his views on spiritual liberation, but I'm curious about this concept of divine grace that you mentioned earlier. What exactly does he mean by that, and how does it fit into his overall worldview?
That's a great question, and it's a concept that weaves throughout his work. Shankar believes that our understanding of God isn't something we can force through sheer intellectual effort or willpower.
Wow, interesting. It requires a certain openness, a receptivity to something greater than ourselves. He calls this divine grace.
So it's not just about figuring it all out on our own, but about being open to receiving guidance or insights from a higher power.
Exactly. He uses the analogy of a flower bud.
Okay.
It can't be forced open,
Right.
but with the right conditions, sunlight, water, nourishment, it naturally unfolds in its own time.
Right.
Similarly, Shankar suggests that divine grace is always present,
Okay.
but we need to cultivate the right inner conditions. Humility, openness, sincerity to receive it.
It's like tuning into a radio frequency. We need to adjust our inner dial to receive the transmission. I like that.
Right.
So it's not about earning God's favor, but about aligning ourselves with His ever-present grace.
Exactly. And Shankar believes that this grace can manifest in surprising ways.
Okay.
Unexpected synchronicities, intuitive insights, even chance encounters that lead us in a new direction.
It's like the universe is subtly guiding us, even when we're not consciously aware of it.
Precisely. He sees these coincidences as whispers of divine orchestration, nudges from a benevolent force that's always working behind the scenes.
That's a really comforting thought. It's like knowing we're not alone on this journey,
Yeah.
that there's a supportive presence walking alongside us. Speaking of journeys, Shankar's research doesn't shy away from exploring the nitty-gritty of various spiritual practices, right?
Right.
It's not just theoretical for him.
Absolutely not. He goes into detail about different forms of worship, rituals, pilgrimages, festivals, things that people actually do to connect with the divine. And he doesn't just describe them. He digs into their deeper significance, how they can be tools for inner transformation.
That makes me think about how people from different cultures and religions might engage with these practices. Does he address that?
He does. Shankar emphasizes that while the outer forms of these practices may differ, their underlying purpose is often quite similar.
Okay.
To cultivate a sense of awe and wonder, to connect with something larger than ourselves, to transcend our limited ego-driven perspectives.
So it's not about rigidly adhering to specific rituals, but about understanding the intention behind them, the universal human desire to connect with something sacred. I really appreciate how he brings that global perspective to his work.
Absolutely. And what's remarkable is that he doesn't stop at traditional religious practices.
Oh, really?
He even delves into things like nanotechnology and transhumanism,
Wow.
those cutting-edge scientific advancements that are pushing the boundaries of what it means to be human.
That's right. He sees these technological leaps, especially those exploring consciousness and artificial intelligence, as potentially intertwined with our spiritual evolution.
Yeah.
It's like he's suggesting that we might be on the verge of a completely new understanding of what it means to be human, both spiritually and scientifically.
He's not afraid to ask the big, even uncomfortable questions, like whether these advancements are leading us towards a greater understanding of the divine
Right.
or further away from it.
Now, that's something to ponder. It's almost as if he's saying that as our technological capabilities become more godlike, we're forced to confront the question of what it truly means to be human, to be spiritual beings in an increasingly complex world.
Precisely. And he doesn't claim to have all the answers. Instead, he presents these ideas, these fascinating intersections of science and spirituality, as fuel for our own contemplation, urging us to consider the implications for our own lives and the future of humanity.
This is incredibly thought-provoking. We've covered Shankar's personal journey, his exploration of world religions, and even his thoughts on the convergence of science and spirituality. And through it all, there's this recurring emphasis on the importance of personal reflection.
Absolutely. He doesn't want us to just take his word for it.
Right.
He's constantly encouraging us to look inward, to examine our own beliefs, to ask ourselves tough questions, and to be willing to grow and evolve.
It's like he's saying, don't just read about it. Experience it for yourself. Explore, question, and discover what resonates with your own soul. It's that active participation, that personal engagement that he believes is key to unlocking a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe.
Precisely. And that's what makes Shankar's work so compelling. It's not just about accumulating knowledge, it's about embarking on a transformative journey of self-discovery.
It's like he's handing us a compass and a map and saying, go, the treasure's out there, now go find it.
Yeah, and what's so empowering about that is he's acknowledging that the map might change along the way.
Right.
Our understanding of the territory of the divine might shift and evolve as we gain new experiences and insights.
So it's not about reaching some final destination,
Right.
but about embracing the journey itself, the continuous process of seeking and growing.
Exactly. And that brings us to one of Shankar's most poignant observations.
Okay.
He states that he's still in the pre-KG stage of spiritual understanding.
Wow. What?
Can you believe that after decades of research,
Right.
he compares himself to a child just beginning to learn the alphabet?
That's incredible. It speaks volumes about his humility, doesn't it?
It does.
He's essentially saying that no matter how much we learn, there's always, infinitely more to discover.
It's a refreshing dose of humility,
Yeah.
especially in a field that's often associated with, absolute truths and unwavering convictions.
Right.
Shankar reminds us that it's okay to not have all the answers, to embrace the mystery, and to approach these big questions with a sense of awe and wonder.
That's a powerful message. It's like he's giving us permission to be curious, to be lifelong learners on this spiritual path.
Precisely. And this ties back to his belief that our understanding of God, of the divine, is constantly evolving, shaped by both our personal experiences and our willingness to embrace new knowledge.
So it's this beautiful dance between inner exploration and outward learning,
Yes,
personal reflection, and engaging with the world around us.
absolutely. And I think that's what makes this deep dive so enriching. It's not just about absorbing information, it's about sparking a fire within, igniting that thirst for deeper understanding.
You've hit the nail on the head. And that brings us to the thought we want to leave you with today. Shankar, drawing inspiration from the saying, whiles to go before I sleep,
Yeah.
emphasizes that the pursuit of spiritual understanding is a lifelong endeavor. It's a journey without a finish line, driven by an insatiable curiosity to grasp the nature of God.
And so we ask you, dear listener, what does this mean for your own exploration of spirituality?
Yes.
Could it be a lifelong adventure full of surprising twists, turns, and aha moments, just like Shankar's?
What sparks your curiosity? What questions keep you up at night? What steps can you take, however small, to embark on your own deep dive into the nature of the divine?
Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through Shankar's research. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep exploring the infinite possibilities that lie within and beyond ourselves.